Reuters. Luke Cohen. Lawyers for Combs, who has pleaded not guilty, wrote in a Monday court filing that the notes concerned defense witnesses and strategies, and were subject to attorney-client privilege, a legal doctrine that safeguards confidential communications between lawyers and their clients. The defense lawyers called the seizure of the notes a violation of Combs' right to a fair trial and the protection against self-incrimination and unreasonable searches and seizures under the U.S. Constitution. Prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan said the notes discussed Combs paying a potential witness, demonstrating he was trying to obstruct justice. Prosecutors said an investigator took photos of the notes during a broad, pre-planned search on October 28 by various federal agencies of the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. This investigation could lead to more charges against Combs, making the photographs fair game as evidence, according to prosecutors. Combs, 55, was arrested in September on charges accusing him of using his business empire including record label Bad Boy Entertainment to transport women and male sex workers across state lines to take part in recorded performances called freak-offs. The music mogul is scheduled to go on trial starting on May 5 on 3 felony counts: racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking and transportation to engage in prosecution. Combs' lawyers have said the sexual activity described in the indictment was consensual. Separately, Combs is seeking to be released on $50 million bail backed by his $48 million Florida mansion and co-signed by several family members. He has been denied bail 3 times, with multiple judges citing a risk that he might tamper with witnesses. Reporting by Luke Cohen in New York, editing by Will Dunham. Judge in Sean Diddy, Combs' case orders prosecutors to destroy copies of rappers' notes. Attorneys for the hip-hop mogul recently demanded a hearing focused on how prosecutors gained access to the privileged notes. Brendan Morrow. USA Today. A judge in Sean Diddy, Combs' sex crimes case has ordered prosecutors to destroy their copies of Combs' handwritten notes that were obtained during a recent jail search, pending a decision on whether they can be used in preparation for the rapper's upcoming sex trafficking trial. During a Tuesday hearing in Manhattan Federal Court, U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian said prosecutors should not consult the notes while he considers the defense argument that they were subject to attorney-client privilege, a legal doctrine that safeguards confidential communications between lawyers and their clients. Get rid of them, Subramanian told prosecutors, adding that he would keep a copy of the notes until he determines whether prosecutors have a right to use them to build their case. The judge said a separate team within the U.S. Attorney's Office that is responsible for screening documents for attorney-client privilege could keep them. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York declined to comment. USA Today has reached out to representatives for Combs. On Monday, lawyers for the embattled music mogul demanded a hearing focused on how prosecutors came into possession of what the defense described as Combs' privileged notes to his lawyers concerning defense witnesses and defense strategies. The attorneys said that an October 28 search of Combs' jail cell violated his constitutional rights, and they characterized this as outrageous government conduct. On Tuesday, attorney Mark Agnifilo called the search a complete institutional failure, noting the alleged seizure of Combs' notes infringed on his right to a fair trial and protections against self-incrimination and unreasonable searches and seizures. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York told the judge in a Monday letter that investigators searched Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, where Combs is incarcerated, as part of a larger safety and security initiative that was scheduled before the music mogul was arrested in September. Diddy's jail cell was searched as part of a larger safety and security initiative. According to prosecutors, a Bureau of Prisons investigator searched Combs' cell and found a manila folder marked legal, a notebook, an address book and personal effects. The investigator took photographs of the notebook and address book and submitted them to a filter team, which approved making some photos available to prosecutors. But the government said these photos, which show Combs' wide-ranging notes to himself, including notes related to the defendant's business interests, his release of music, and family matters, among other things, are not considered privileged materials in his legal defense. Prosecutors also alleged Combs wrote about paying off potential witnesses and digging up dirt on them. They said that could amount to obstruction of justice, meaning attorney-client privilege should not apply. During Tuesday's hearing, prosecutor Mary Slavic said they were still investigating the case and may bring more charges. Combs has been incarcerated since September, when he was arrested for racketeering, sex trafficking and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty and denied all of the allegations of sexual assault against him. In a filing on Friday, prosecutors argued Combs' latest bail request should be denied, as he poses a serious risk of obstruction, danger, and flight. They also alleged Combs has orchestrated social media campaigns that are, in his own words, aimed at tainting the jury pool, and made efforts to publicly leak materials he views as helpful to his case. A hearing on Combs' bail proposal is scheduled for Friday. Prosecutors on Tuesday agreed that Judge Subramanian should not consider the contents of Combs' notes in deciding whether to release him.
A federal judge has ordered prosecutors to destroy copies of notes seized from Sean Diddy Combs' jail cell, citing a violation of his attorney-client privilege. The notes, taken during a Bureau of Prisons sweep, included details about his legal strategy. Combs' defense team called the seizure a due process violation and outrageous government conduct. The court also ruled that he can appear unshackled in future hearings to avoid potential bias. Combs, who is accused of racketeering and sex trafficking, denies the charges. Prosecutors argue the notes contain evidence of efforts to influence witnesses, but his defense disputes their validity due to the improper seizure. The case against Sean Diddy Combs includes serious charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and coercion, tied to alleged events where women were reportedly forced into non-consensual acts during orchestrated parties known as freak-offs. Prosecutors claim over 100 women have accused Combs, with some represented in civil lawsuits. Despite this, Combs denies the allegations and has argued for his innocence. The controversy over the seized notes adds a layer of complexity. The government claims the notes include evidence of attempts to undermine witnesses. Combs' defense argues these were privileged communications with his legal team, improperly taken during what the prosecution described as a routine prison search. A filter team was said to have reviewed the materials before sharing them with prosecutors, but this has been challenged by Combs' lawyers, who argue the process violated his rights. Combs remains in custody, as previous bail requests were denied over concerns of witness tampering. His next hearing is set for November 22, where his legal team may leverage the court's rulings on the seized materials to argue for his release. Sean Diddy Combs' legal battle is intensifying as he faces multiple charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking, for allegedly organizing coerced sexual events. His legal team argues that the seizure of notes from his jail cell during a Bureau of Prisons search was a violation of his attorney-client privilege. These notes reportedly included strategies for his defense, lists of witnesses, and other confidential communications. Prosecutors argue that some of the seized notes suggest attempts to undermine witnesses and manage damaging allegations, though they deny involvement in the seizure itself, claiming it was part of a routine contraband sweep. The defense remains skeptical, demanding surveillance footage to scrutinize the search's legitimacy. Combs, currently held in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, has had previous bail requests denied due to concerns about witness tampering. However, the judge's recent ruling on the notes and his approval of Combs appearing unshackled in court may shape upcoming hearings. His next bail hearing on November 22 could see his defense using these procedural missteps to challenge his continued detention. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and leave a comment below. See you next time.